today was pretty cool because I got to get a hot shower for the first time in like 2 months.
Oh my gosh.
Hot water heater, the tankless water heater has been out or slowly. What's funny is it was so incremental. One day I was like, why am I freezing? I'm not wanting a cold shower today. I know that's a thing, but for me that day. And I'm like, wide open. Why is it hot? Come on, hot water. So
Yeah.
yesterday I got it fixed, and so I got the first hot shower in a while, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's probably why you've been spending so much time in the hot tub. Like I couldn't
yeah,
imagine. Like, I mean, I don't have a hot tub, but I have a garden tub, and so I
yeah,
spend lots and lots of time in there. I can't
yeah.
imagine not having hot water.
I don't have to be in there, but I sure do get to be in there. That's the fun part. And that's called a segue, guys.
I love it.
I've done this a little while. So, yeah, we're going to talk about a concept that actually was born out of just you and I being you and I in our friendship. And you were talking about, man, I have to do the dishes and I have to do the laundry and I have the kids. I need to take care of their homeschool and I have to. And I said, Brittany, you get to do all those things.
And that's literally what happened. Like my mind just like, wow, yeah, you're right. You're right. And I just immediately, I had to go write a post about that, and it inspired so many people and myself. Now we're doing a podcast about it because it was just such a monumental one-line thing that, yeah, we had to do this.
And so much of life is like that. By the way, One Step Deeper Podcast is what you're listening to. OneStepDeeperPodcast.com. Jimmy Moore, Brittany Davis. Go follow us on social media at One Step Deeper Podcast. You'll get links to both of our personal social media as well. And please reach out if you ever want to talk to us. Also, the One Step Deeper podcast community over on Facebook. Over 700 people there now. So we're real grateful for all of you guys that watch on the Facebook page. And we had the big debut last week. Last week's episode was the first one that was the brand new episode that aired on all the places where you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the rest. So we're off to the races now and real happy to be doing this show. And thank you guys for all your feedback because, yes, it was your feedback that inspired today's show and why we're going to go one step deeper on this concept of you don't have to, you get to. And so why do we kind of fall into that trap of thinking that life is an obligation rather than a blessing?
Environment. I really think we are a product of our environment, and it's just something that's, I mean, I remember hearing my mom and my grandparents and everybody saying the same thing. It's just, I have to do this, I have to do this. And where there's some truth in that of, yeah, I do have a to-do list and I have to do these things. We shift our mind. We don't shift our mind enough to realizing that it's a blessing that we get to do those things. So today, for me, as of the recording, if I cry today, I'm just this is just my warning. It's been a year since I almost lost my life in the hospital.
Exactly a year.
Exactly, to the day. And I wrote a post about it, and I wrote it last night so that I could make it through today. But there was a lot of things that I couldn't do. I couldn't wash dishes. I couldn't walk in my house unassisted. And so that have to list got a lot shorter because I couldn't. And so now, even though the dishes seem so menial, I'm like, oh, I get to do this. Like, hey, I get to wash dishes now.
Well, and part of the have to-ism, which is what we will coin here today, if you have the disease of have to-ism, listen to this. Part of it is you put these expectations on yourself, and especially you being laid up in the bed, pretty much an invalid there for a little while, even after you got home from the hospital last year and almost dying, you had all of this like debt of have to-ism start to build up so that when you got to doing it, and you could do it, that have to-ism was on overdrive because you had all these months of, oh my gosh, I was derelict in my duty as mom and wife, and I needed to be doing all these things. So all that have to-ism really kicked in all the more.
Thanks for that call out. I'm so thankful for that.
Well, I think it's very common. It's not just Brittany. I love you, Brittany, but
I,
it's everybody who has these expectations for themselves, wherever the hell those come from. Sometimes we just pull expectations out of our keister, and it's like, where did that come from? Like, put that shit back where it needs to be. Yeah, I'm full of myself today, girl. I am so full of myself today.
oh my gosh. Wow. Yes, exactly. And this whole have to-ism, it really shows up because of the expectations that we put on ourselves. And even the expectations that we put on other people and, oh, I have to call this person and I have to be there for this person and this, it's just there's so many ways that we have to. You still there? Sorry.
Hang on a second. There's so many ways that we have to go.
Okay, there's so many different ways that we have to. Wow, that didn't help. Um,
She gets
wow.
easily flustered. See, you have to roll with the punches of a podcast going awry. I think what you were saying is there's so many ways that we convince ourselves that we have to. When at the end of the
Yes.
day, we get the choice about whether we think it's something we must do or kind of change the perspective on it, which is what we're talking about here today on our podcast. You actually you can frame it in a negative way or a positive way.
Yes, exactly. And yes, my brain just went, phew. My daughter was calling me, and I'm like, oh, don't, oh, what? Hold on.
Hey, that's, you don't have to answer, but you get the privilege of having that daughter in your life.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I am a huge, in my life, I have to myself to death. I really do. I am an organized person. I like list. And so when I look at my list, I don't look at it as, well, up until recently, I didn't look at it as, oh, look at all these things I get to do today. It was more of, well,
Oh, I was going to say, you don't look at it as options, they are mandates.
yes, exactly. I have to do these things. And if I don't, I'm a failure because that's my personality. If you're a type 1 Enneagram, you can go back and listen to episode 6 and we tell you a little bit more about that. But these things in my.
And she called again.
I'm so sorry, and I can't go tell her to stop calling me.
All good. It's all, see, this is perfect because the have to-ism extends to family, and the family's trying to get down on this podcast today, Brittany.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my goodness.
You can yell out at her.
Uh,
Come on in. We'll bring you on the podcast.
she's all the way upstairs, and
Is
she's
it
in
Alma?
her room.
Is it
I
Alma?
didn't.
Is it Alma? Cammy?
No, it's Cammy. Cammy got a little watch that she
Ah,
called me on for Christmas, and so now she's calling me.
mommy is busy right now. She has to do, no, she gets to do this podcast.
Yes, and I'm just like, what in the world, child? It's 7:30 in the morning. She usually sleeps until 10. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's get back to the topic. So I have my to-do list, and I used to look at it, like you said, as something that I had to do, and if I didn't, I was a failure. And so really having this conversation with you about I don't have to, I get to, it makes me look at my list a lot differently. And I've wanted to like coin a new name for it, and I hadn't like made that a priority yet of not a to-do list. Like I don't know, something about that name just is negative.
To receive list.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're receiving as you get to do those things that bless your life, you're receiving.
Right. Right.
Now, kind of clunky, no, but it's the concept anyway.
Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
we'll vet that out here today on the One Step Deeper podcast. So.
Yes. Yeah. Oh goodness, I'm staring at my to-do list now and it's a mile long today. And honestly, I needed this podcast.
I'm curious if it's not personal, what's on your to-do list?
Oh no, it's not personal. Okay, so I have a murder mystery party tonight.
Yes,
And
you
so
thing for in your house,
in my house, yes, and so I have to clean my house.
clean the
I
house,
have to do the laundry.
laundry.
Look at me, I'm already doing it.
Right? And that's why I wanted to do this. I wanted to see what verbiage you used, and you're right back in there. But you know what? That's not uncommon. And you can keep going here in a second, but it's not uncommon because I think our culture makes us think all of those things are an obligation, and they don't look at them in this different way of you get to. And so have to-ism is a thing. And so if you're watching this or listening on our podcast and you're hearing yourself say have to a lot, just change that one word. Get to. That's it. And watch how your life radically changes. And even it's still in progress with little Miss Thang here, still saying have to. But what else do you get to do besides the laundry and clean the house?
Well, I don't know if you will ever convince me that I get to do laundry. I'm just going to put that out there. Okay, that's
I do it all the time, but it's just Jimmy. So I pretty much have to, or it don't get done.
Oh my goodness, yes. So I get to do the laundry. I get to prep. Now this I am excited about. This is a get to.
Yeah.
I get to make a charcuterie board, and I'm just so excited about that. And I get to drive to Wagner, which is about an hour away, to pick up some baked goods for tonight. I get to drop my kids off with my mom. I'm just kidding. Not really, but yeah.
You are dropping them off to your mom so you can have adult time at your house. You made a very interesting distinction there that I think is worthy of comment. So you said all these things that you kind of dreaded, and you kind of went, yeah, I get to. But then you got to things that you wanted to happen, and then it was I get to. It doesn't matter the circumstance of what it is. It's always a get to. And I think when you frame your mind that it's a get to and not a have to in every situation, your mindset actually starts to change.
Yes, exactly. And so I'm sitting here going through all the ways that I can convince myself that laundry is not a have to, it's a get to. Well, I am an organized person, and I am so organized that my closet is like rainbow colored. Like it goes like from red shirts to orange shirts to yellow to.
Oh, wow.
Don't wow me. I learned that off of the home edit.
Take a picture of that. I want to see that on social media.
Hey, and it's not just that. I learned it from the home edit. I've done that with my homeschool supplies. They go from red all down the rainbow, all of our board games down the rainbow. It's just so pleasing. It's pleasing.
And meanwhile, most of the time I leave the clothes in the dryer. I pull it out. Yep, smells good, and I put it on.
That would mess with my brain. I am so bad. I will not start another load unless I know that I can get the one out of the dryer done as soon as I get out the dryer. There ain't no clothes basket sitting in my house.
I just put all the clothes on top of the dryer and put the new clothes in the dryer and just let them sit there. I know. And guys,
you blew up my brain.
We're still friends. Like, we have such diametrically opposed, but I get to do that.
Exactly. And I like this topic. I can talk on things all day long about things that I have learned, but this is something I'm still in the progress of, and I'm still reframing my mindset on. And so as we talk, I'm just thinking of all the things that I say to myself on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I mean, it hits every facet of life. I mean, we've been focusing a lot on your family life and the kind of duties of being a wife and a mother, but this goes all over the place. You know, think about all the things. I have to pay my taxes.
Yeah.
No, you get to pay your taxes because you live in a country that affords you that freedom and all the everything, blah, blah, blah. You can go down that line. I have to go to work today. No, you get to go to work today. And there's a lot of people without work today that would love to have your job if you don't want that job. And so you get to do it. And it's all about kind of a positive spin where it's easy to go down the negative path if you let your brain go there.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say the one about a job because I know, especially 2020 into this year and all, many people don't have a job. And so it is a blessing, even if it's a retail job or a job that you don't like or a job that's not glamorous. I know how miserable it is to be in a situation where you don't want to be there, but at the same time, it is such a blessing, and it's such a get to right now. And me and my husband, we were extremely thankful all year long that he had an essential job. And so even though it sucked, it was long hours, and because they were working even harder during all of this, it really sucked because he was working crazy hours and I didn't get to see him as often. I tried to constantly remind myself, this is a blessing. This is a get to, and yeah.
Yeah, man, we could go in so many directions with this one. It's just it's such an open topic, which is why I was loving all the people responding to your post. By the way, guys, go look at the post. It's at the One Step Deeper podcast Instagram page, as well as One Step Deeper podcast Facebook community. You can go over there and check that out. Scroll down a little bit, you'll find it. It's not that much long ago, but yeah, like everybody was like, wow, like, why would this be such an eye-opener? Is it just that they never really thought about it? Like, why was it such an eye-opener to you? Because you think deep about these kinds of things all the time. This has obviously come on your radar screen before.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard something along this lines before, and even tried to shift my mind. But have it thrown in your face, it makes you pause. It makes you pause, and I'm thankful for that.
And you're welcome.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't. I mean, if I could have chosen,
You could choose in. Hey, that's a Southern expression. You can choose in whatever you want.
I could have chosen to get offended, and I think that's another level of this: is you can choose whatever you want to do when it comes to this. But I could have chosen. I keep wanting to say choosing. Oh my goodness. I could have chosen to get offended at what you said to me and be like, no, that's not right. And I mean, if someone's watching now, they can choose to get offended.
But this is the thing. You have too much respect for me, and vice versa. And I've got other friends in my life that way, where I have some of the similar kind of conversations where, all right, I'm going to be blunt with you. Here it is. Boom. And you can definitely be hurt by it if you choose to. You can let yourself get hurt by it.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. But I get to have a relationship with Jimmy. I get to be called out by Jimmy. And I appreciate that because I need it sometimes. I respond more to tough love than anything else. I really do. Now, I might be mad at you for a second, but I respond to tough love.
He has been mad at me for a moment. I always know because you kind of go quiet on me and I'm like, oh crap, what did I say?
Oh, it's not just you. I do that. And I try not to react with emotions. I try to calm myself and then have a conversation rather than explode. And I think that's another level of this I get to, is when we make our list of I have to, you dread it. You dread it. And when you dread it, you're all up in your emotions, you're all up in your feels, and it's so much easier for you to go from, this pile of anxiousness and I have to, into this explosion of emotions. This is me. I'm talking to me here. That when my have to list gets so long and I can't catch up, I feel like a failure. And when I feel like a failure, I project that out and I just get upset and all things. Oh my goodness. But if I was to reframe that of I get to do all these things, now I feel accomplished at the end of the day, rather than feeling like, oh, I did all this, but it doesn't matter because I still got all this to do.
That's the mood, so to speak.
Yes, exactly. Looking at my list, I can have to myself and be in a terrible mood, or I can get to and be excited to do these things.
So I have an idea. They have these little apps where you can like split yourself off, and on one side you can move and talk, and the other side you move and talk. You need to do a little split screen of the one side being all the have tos, and then the other side. No, Brittany, it's you get to do those things. That would be kind of that.
Yes. Yes, and I would love to do something like that, but that is literally my brain. Like
Yeah.
you just described my brain, especially going on a personal development journey and trying to unlearn the things that I've learned in my life and reteach myself. That's literally it. I have this side screaming all of the negatives, and I have this side going, what, what? It's like,
Yeah. When you make a growth journey, which I hope most of you that listen to the One Step Deeper podcast, you're going on some kind of an internal growth journey. That's our hope anyway. Both Brittany and I have started ours, still in the midst of ours. I mean, you never really stop growing and learning, at least you better not. You get to keep growing if you keep putting in the work. You don't really need to see this as a chore, and I never have. And it's exciting as you move forward and you start to learn some of these concepts. But yeah, that internal struggle is real.
oh yes, for sure. And I love personal development. Like my bio says personal development enthusiast, and that is like the best description for me. But even when I am on this journey and reading books and listening to podcasts, it gets overwhelming, and I can slip from, hey, I get to do these things, and I can slip back into, I have to do these things, because I do feel a responsibility, like, okay, I'm an adult now, and my triggers are my responsibility, and the things that happen to me, I can use them in a negative way and excuse everything and every bad behavior that I have, or I can hold myself responsible, and so I have this internal struggle that I deal with all the time. So I want to be better, and so I have to be better, and yeah.
And let's not neglect the immense role that our past has played on the have toism. Because if you grew up, and I know you did, in an environment where you have to keep a straight A average, and if you go below that, you're going to get in trouble. You have to do this. You must stay in line. You can't be out of, and you had the have toism indoctrinated into you. So now you're 28 years old, and the have toism is so deeply ingrained, it's not going to change overnight. So maybe that's people out there right now. Maybe they're like, oh, I do say have to a lot. Dig back in your history. Think about it. Did that get instilled in you at an early age? Yeah, probably did.
Listen, I struggle with anxiety, and I think anxiety can come from numerous places. It's not just like, oh, this happened, you have anxiety, but I know that my anxiety was born out of things like this, situations where parents and even unknowingly, I had some grandparents of, you got to get good grades, and you have to do this, and if you want to get a good job, you have to go to college. And
Yes, what you mentioned last week. You had a have toism thrust on you. You had no business being a part of that whole year and a half you went off to college. Oh, you're so good in grades. You have to go to college. Yeah, if you wanted to go, then you would say, yeah, I do. I get to go to college. Homeboy wanted to go to college to get out of his abuser's house. That's why but then I turned out to be a pretty good student and did pretty well and got a couple of degrees. So, but like that's the thing. It wasn't a have to for me, but it was a big time have to for you.
yes, exactly, and that made me not want to do it. I didn't want to do it, and there was so much anxiety tied up. So going back to my childhood, it I don't think it's all negative that I had like, that people push me in my life, push me very hard to have good grades and to do this and do that. And so I have at this moment in my life respected that happened to me. Now, could they have been a little more laxical, a little more not so uh, militaristic? Yes, absolutely. And as far as the list goes, and talking about the anxiety and how anxiety came from that, I love my mom to death. And to this day, I finally asked her why this happened. We would come home from school, my brother and I, and she'd still be at work, and so would her ex-husband. And I would have a sheet of paper, front and back, of chores to do every day, every single day. And I had to do homework as well every single day. And I was always so overwhelmed. I'd get home with this crazy list that I would have to do, And so I would start to panic because it had to be done by the time my mom got home. And so there was so much anxiety. And I asked her years and years and years later, what the heck, Mom? Like, come on. Why did I have 10 million chores? And she would come up with the craziest thing. My mom was a creative person, very creative. Like, she would come up with the craziest chores. And she's like, oh, I just wanted to keep y'all busy so you didn't get in trouble.
What's the craziest thing she asked you to do?
Scrub around the sink with a toothbrush.
Yeah, because it gets gross, Brittany. All that little black gunk around the.
And I do that now because I like a clean house, and so I understand. But at like 13, I'm like, really? Really?
Oh, you are bringing out an interesting angle to this that just popped in my head. The have toism is feeling like it's probably useless to do. But when you know the why and you get it explained to you and you have a lot more understanding of why you think you have to do something, then I get to do that because it's going to contribute something. So in people's minds, a have to is a throwaway, a get to is something of meaning and purpose.
That was good.
This is why I love these podcasts, because I didn't plan that. That just popped in my head just hearing you talk, and it makes total sense though, right?
Absolutely. Have to is something that we don't really want to, and
we don't think it's significant. That's the other thing. It's
exactly
devalued. If it's a have to, you devalue it. Oh, that sink in on I have to take care of my kids. Oh, ooh. Yeah, but you get to, you put great value on it.
Yes, exactly. I have transformed my parenting a lot over the last few years in my journey. And so my taking care of my kids is I get to. Oh man, especially after last year and almost not being able to and not being here to do that. Yeah, that kind of shifted, but I guess chores is really where it falls. And I remember having a conversation with you and my mom that I'm like, I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, what the am I doing? Like, I just do dishes and laundry all day. What am I doing? Because I devalued those things. But they're actually extremely valuable. If I don't wash clothes, ain't none of us, I mean, we just all walking around with stanky clothes. If I don't wash dishes, I mean, you could see the repercussions of that. There is value in that, but I have devalued it because I've done it my whole life, and it doesn't really, for me, it's like, anybody could do that.
That's where I was going. It's easy. It doesn't challenge you. And what I know about Brittany Davis is the girl loves to be challenged, which is why Jimmy always tries to challenge her, and vice versa, by the way. I don't like I'm always the one instilling into you. You throw a lot into me as well.
Yes. I do like to be challenged. I don't like easy. I don't know. I'm weird. I don't like easy. I don't like easy conversations. Go ahead.
Well, easy is just skirting through life. Like easy, yawn. Like I don't want to wake up one day and my life was just a bunch of easy. Yeah. That's not interesting to me either. Like but I don't want super duper dippity exciting all the time either. Like that's overwhelming. There's kind of this happy medium between and and so you have this kind of center that you kind of want to live, and that's where the spice of life is.
Man, I go through these phases where I don't do chores or I really don't like it and I don't make it a priority. And then I'm just like, I'm so excited to do everything all at once.
Which I've heard you many times. When it's 6 loads of laundry, you're breaking down. It's almost like I think you reach 4 and you can do 4. Once it gets to 6, you're so it's kind of this threshold that you push, and if you catch it in time, the have to doesn't kick in, it's a get to. But if it goes beyond that, it becomes a have to.
Yes, exactly. And just for reference, it's not like I do laundry every day, and if the basket's full, I do it. But when my kids do clean out their closet and they have like a month's worth of dirty clothes, I'm like, what? I'm not prepared. So then I have to catch up, and it just becomes this crazy anxiety filled thing in my head of I have to do all these things, and I have to, and yeah, it's a mess.
That's where I go, head down, get it done, move on.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
exactly.
make it a difficult thing and make it a dreadful thing and make it a have to, but head down, get it done. You get to do it, it's done, you move on with your life. Because
Yes,
you're not
yes.
sitting there in the old days washing them over rocks. You sticking them in a machine that half an hour to 45 minutes later, and it lets you move it over and then turn it on. And then an hour or two later, it's done. Like we have so forgotten what it could be.
Oh
You
yeah.
think like the people in the olden days didn't think that they have thoughts of have to-ism when it comes to washing clothes, for example, when they had to do it by hand over rocks. And it's like, okay, yeah, that changes your perspective too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was thinking about laundry and how once it gets so bad, and I feel like it's so bad, I like to find a podcast or a book to listen to, or I turn on music and I do my best to just
Zone.
shift my. Yeah, so my husband, I love him so much. He does chores all the time. When he's home, he helps me out. But if we have like a big cleaning job, I can already tell you, time we get off this call, we will have music blaring because it motivates him. He'll have music blaring and we'll get the entire house clean in about an hour. I already know this.
So what's your shared music of choice? I'm just curious what you and Wildman share in common, because he likes country and you like death metal. No.
Yes, he does. But he loves death metal too.
Oh, okay. That's a
Yeah.
strange combo, Wildman. You like both death metal and country. Now I know what we need. We need death country.
We already got rap country.
What would that sound like? Oh, I like either. Those are my two worst flavors of music. I don't have to listen to those things, thank God.
Yeah.
I get to reject those. Yes, I get to reject those.
And that's totally your choice and your thing. But no, Wildman is a very eclectic man, and he has the beard and may look like your backwoods country boy, and he does love some country music. Especially if he got a Budweiser in the hand. We playing country music sometimes, okay? This is gonna happen. But he listens to Celtic music. Like I like classic Celtic music. I'm serious. And in the same breath, we will turn on Five Finger Death Punch and jam to that. We don't care.
Here's a funny thing you kind of just triggered in my brain again. I love these kind of conversations. Is culturally we have a lot of have to isms. If you're a black boy, you're supposed to play basketball.
Yeah.
Girl, you're supposed to be a cheerleader. If you're tall, you're supposed to play basketball. Like there's so many have to isms that society puts on us. And in your case, when you are top of your class academically, you have to go to college. There's so many have to isms that are expected of us culturally.
Yeah. Wow. That's really great.
You could
See how
you could run. I mean, just think about those just right now. Just so many have to.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a Christian, you have to go to church. We won't touch that one, but I'm just putting it out there.
Or if you live in the South, you're automatically a Christian. You have to be a Christian if you live in the South. That's kind of because we're in the Bible Belt.
I don't want to touch that one. Okay, we'll touch on that later. But anyway, yes, you're right. Like society, and I love how these conversations go with you and I. They just go so deep and just keep going deeper and deeper. But yeah, talking about society and what you look like and what you should be, I have always just bucked all of that. Like, don't tell me I have to do something in society because I'm probably going to intentionally do it the opposite way. So parenting, I don't parent like nobody I know around here. Homeschooling, I don't do that the normal way. We do unschooling, and that's not normal. That's not what you have to do. We don't wake up. You know what? That's really cool. I'm sorry. That's just in the moment. There's my squirrel moment. I have literally, why can't I do it with my to-do list? But I have began to let go of all those have tos with my kids of I have to do this thing, or I have to be hard on them so that they know how to live in the world. I don't do that. And oh, you have to do book work every day, otherwise, oh, you won't know anything. You can't possibly learn through just experiencing life. And so I've bucked that. Wow. Yeah. I need to do this more with my to-do list. If I get to do these things and I get to learn through everyday experiences, man, this is awesome.
And you're doing that. I talk to you often, and I hear that in your verbiage. So it's a process. It's not an overnight thing. You're not just going to suddenly switch from have to get and all your worries go away. No, it's you're going to be clunky along the way. And we've even heard it here out of your voice today on this podcast. You know what another big have toism is if you have extra weight on the body, you have to lose weight. And like people put that on themselves, but society puts that on them too. And quite frankly, I get it all the time. Oh, well, you're obviously not eating keto anymore, so you have to figure out some way to lose weight. And I'm thinking, all right, number one, how do you know I'm not eating that way anymore? How do you know I'm not pursuing things to try to make that happen? How do you know my health is bad? So it's like the have toism assumes a lot of things.
Oh, absolutely. You know what they say about assuming?
Ask you me.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and we put that on ourselves. I have gained what I consider a significant amount of weight from 2020 hospitalization, and I had been working on trying to lose weight, but you can't really lose weight in a stressful state. But I put it on myself because I'm not the smallest that I've ever been, so I have to lose weight to get back to that. And that's something that I've put on myself, this expectation that I've put on myself. But what does it do? It just sets us up for more failure. And that have toism, it sets you up for failure, I think.
Have to also feels like it's being forced because you have to force it. When you say get to, it's free will. You're making the choice. Now, 1 year ago today, was it forced on you? Yeah. But in the aftermath of the have to be in the hospital, you then got to recover.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And it's been a really long recovery.
But girl, you are far a better place today. You even admit that to yourself. But even the have toism still creeps in because you expect to be back where you were yesterday, a year ago.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. That is, yeah,
Those expectations hit hard too.
they do. And I am the worst of the worst when it comes to I have to. And I really am. I told him, try not to cry, man.
Hey, this is an emotional podcast. It's okay. I know you don't want your mascara to run, but like
fake lashes. I ain't got no mascara on.
See, I was trying to cover for your fake lashes. So.
I don't care. They're fake. I don't care.
Mine are real. So it's the gray in the beard.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, this last year I've been probably the hardest on myself that I ever have been, because I put these expectations on myself that, I have to be able to work out because that's what you're supposed to do. So I have to do that. But my body's like, no. My body.
Who put that expectation on you?
Can I say society? Can I say that?
Society, but I'd say Brittany.
Yeah.
Brittany puts that expectation on herself. I think that's the genesis of a lot of the have toism. We got to get out of our own heads, putting all of these like things on ourselves that why? You're the one making the choice in your mind that it's something you have to do, that it's something that must be done. What happens if you don't? Now,
I don't like that.
in the case of the laundry, you have smelly clothes everywhere. That's the result of that. But just like in general, like people put expectations, you have to lose weight. Like, what happens if you don't, but you choose other things that make yourself healthy, but you don't lose weight? What happens?
I don't like this. I don't like it.
All right, let's explore that a little more. Why don't you like it? What's going on? Is it your perfection mind going, there has to be some end game?
Yes, I need it to conclude. I just, I don't like it. I don't like it. You've exploded my brain like 10 times today.
So you're not handling the pandemic very well because we don't know when that's going to be over either.
Yeah, I don't.
She's got a twitching eye now, guys.
I know. Pandemic has really messed with my brain. Really, really, really. And I think it has a lot of people, but it has made me go into hyperdrive for all the things that I have to do.
Yes.
And being super cautious and super what?
So I've got news to break here today on the One Step Deeper podcast. The pandemic is scheduled to end on April 1st, 2022. You're welcome. It's on April Fool's Day, so who knows if it's true or not.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be like helpful, like to know, and that way we don't have all these kind of things just lingering.
Yeah, Brittany's brain doesn't do well with things that don't end or don't have an end date. Yeah, I don't do well with that. I have to have an end date.
Yeah. Ooh, another have to. If they're family, you have to have them in your life. Now, you know, I made a tough decision 1 year ago, right at 1 year ago, to cut out my dad, who was my abuser growing up. And everybody's like, oh, you can't, you have to have your dad in your life. You can't just cut him out. And I'm thinking, no, I get to choose whether he's adding value to me or he's not. And I concluded he was not adding value to me in my life. And does that discount anything else about my other relationships? No. If I choose to have people in my life, they're there for a reason. Brittany, you're here in my life because I want you here. And I want people in my life that want me in their life. And he showed no indication of that. So I'm very comfortable not succumbing to the pressure of you have to because he's family. Family just means he was biological, but that doesn't mean he was dad.
Oh yeah, for sure. That is one that you will all day long hear from me. I will push that one hard. Oh, well, that's still your mama. No, if mama toxic, mama's toxic. I mean, that's just how it is. And I have family members that have been removed out of my life, and especially what I went through as a child, because this person is my stepdad. Am I supposed to have a connection with him? Am I supposed to have him in my life when he was the one that traumatized me because, oh, he's still your dad? No, I don't have to do that. And I get to choose. And this is another thing that maybe a lot of people won't agree with me with, but I don't feel like children owe their parents anything. Parents choose to have these children, and they are the ones that get to, but have to take care of their children and provide houses and clothes and food and provide those things. But children don't owe their parents anything. I'm sorry, they don't. I brought my children into this world, and I want to be the gap between the have to that was pushed on me and then the get to. I have to be the person to unlearn have to and to teach my children, no, you get to do these things. And so I get to be that middle point with them to show them that.
How would the world change if everybody stopped have toing and started get toing?
It would be incredible. We would all be like my daughter Cammie. I love my Cammie. She puts me in check so much because she is a get-to person. No matter what, she makes it fun. No matter what she's doing, she tries to make it an adventure. And she lives in the get to, oh, I need to do laundry. Cool, I'm gonna turn some music on and I'm gonna do it, and I love that about her, and I aspire to be that way. But yeah, what would the world look like if all of us right now listening or being a part of this podcast just stop what they're doing and stop half-doing themselves and began to, I get to do this.
You know what would happen? People would start living more authentically who they are. They would start pursuing the dreams they've always had in their hearts. How many people go through life half-doing, like going through the motions of life, going to a job they hate, waking up and feeling horrible about the kids in their life? I'm talking real life, guys. I mean, and this is you circa a few years ago. You were kind of in that crisis of belief and state of have-toism that was deeply entrenched. But yeah, like I could see a radical change in society if we stopped seeing everything as an obligation and everything as a whoa, wow, what a life, like the Cammy effect.
Yes, I have to myself so much that I freeze myself of I can't possibly do the things that I want to because I have all these things that I have to do. This is current, guys. This is something that Jimmy and I talk about probably freaking weekly, that I have this thing in my brain that won't let me do the things that I want to do because I have to do the things that I don't want to do. And this was going back to childhood. This was instilled in me. You can't play outside because you have to do this, this, and this first. You can't do this because you have to do this, this, and this. And so I have these big dreams and goals that I want to do in my life. I have them written down. I'm so excited to do them, but I won't let myself touch my get-to list because I have to.
Well, and think about all the have-tos that people put on themselves before they pursue something. And this podcast, guys, is one of those things for Brittany. You never thought that you could do it on your own. I think you could, and one day you will. I hear through a little grapevine, you might have something going on where you'll be doing it on your own because you're seeing it as a get to, not a have to. But a lot of the have to isms probably were like, I have to learn how to speak in front of the camera. I have to learn how to talk, enunciate. And we've already seen that we have trouble there. That's okay. I'm just messing. But like you put all these limitations on yourself because of the have to ism. And when you remove the have to isms, wow, I get to look at a phone and talk into the camera and be on a podcast. I get to do it with my best friend. I get to have all of the things that this podcast is affording us, people going, oh, wow, we haven't heard anything like this before. And it changes everything once you dive right in. Have to prevent you from reaching your goals and your dreams. That's another big reason to let go of the have to-ism. If you ever want to succeed, you can't have to yourself to success.
Oh, man. And immediately weight loss came to my mind. Immediately. Because that's, I don't know, current situation and in world. And it's January, so I have to lose weight. And it kind of keeps you from, when you follow a specific diet, and within that diet there's rules of I have to do this, this, and this, and this, and if I don't, I'm a terrible person and I'm going to fail and I'm going to gain all the weight back. And oh my goodness, yes, this conversation is just
one step deeper.
Yes.
We kind of do that here on this show. That's called good branding, when you follow through on the branding with actually providing content that fits the branding. So
yeah, and I'm very thankful that I have you as a co-host here, because I do that. I have to myself, and I have always wanted to start for probably a good 18 months I've wanted to have my own podcast. I have.
Yeah, we've talked about it many times, and I'm thinking, I'll do one with you. Just come on, listen. But I never did. I thought, okay, if she ever brings it up to me, finally I was like, we have to do a podcast together.
Oh goodness. Yes, I have to myself to death of I have to learn more, I have to know more, and I'm still frozen in that with this thing that I want to do. I'm frozen because I have to myself to death.
and this thing and another project you and I are working on, you have to'd yourself half to death. And I'm going, just do it. Like, look at it as I get to do it. Like, I see, my brain can't fathom have toism anymore because I've tasted success. I've tasted what it feels like to get to. And once you get that taste, then it kind of propels you to want to get to more, to the point that you really see nothing as stopping you. Have to's stop you dead in your tracks. Get to's send you soaring into outer space.
Exactly. And I'm like, even the most basic thing of, oh, I have to get out of the bed. No, you get to get out of the bed. No, you get to, you know?
You're breathing today, so that's a get to.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, it's kind of cliche talking about, oh, you get to wake up and you have breath, but it's the truth, okay? Like, when you've experienced things like I have, where you didn't know if you were going to be able to wake up the next day or if you were going to be there, it makes you really think about those things. But it's funny what our brain does. We always go back to what we know, because even though I've been through that, my brain is still, no, I have to. Like you were talking earlier, and I was really thinking about that I built up this have to debt, and I'm just in debt to my have to's, and I'm like, how do I pay those off? I don't like debt.
You stop thinking of them, and then they're forgiven. Shift that mindset permanently to get, and that's your get out of jail free card.
Yeah, exactly.
Not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's instantaneous overnight, but you're on this journey. Like, even since we had that conversation that inspired the post that now inspired this podcast, even since then, which has been a few weeks, you've changed quite a bit in this area of and you still have your moments when we talk on the phone, and this week has been a bit of a challenge for a different reason, but you have changed, and I just want to acknowledge, I see it. I can see where this perspective changes, and it'll continue to grow as long as you keep it top of mind. I hope you have I don't have to, I get to plastered on mirrors and refrigerators right there in your office, everywhere, just so you remind yourself, oh yeah, I do, I get to.
Yes, exactly. Sticky notes everywhere.
What
Yes.
color? The standard yellow, or do you do all kind of colors?
Kinds of colors.
Colors are awesome.
All the colors. You've seen my glasses. I need all the colors.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. I needed this today. I'm telling you, I know that the purpose of this is to help multiple people and help other people, but I needed this today. I needed this so that I can look back on it and remind myself I get to, not I have to.
This is the dirty secret of podcasting. Everybody's like, oh, wow, I learned so much listening. I'm like, I didn't do it for you. I do it for me. And that's all my podcasts I've ever done. Every podcast I do, I'm having the conversation with someone, or like we do on this show, we just do a tit for tat. It's all about me, trying to grow me and everything. And so if you guys watching or listening get benefit out of it, that's just the bonus. But yeah, I'm glad it has helped you. And now today, in preparing for your party tonight, you don't have to clean. You get to do it with Wildman. You get to be present with him, blaring Five Finger Death Punch, having a good time, probably getting the kids involved a little bit in some way, making it fun, and that get toism. Let's replace have toism with get toism, and let's get this party started.
Yes, exactly. That is it, to just completely reframe that. And I'm thankful for my husband is naturally a get to person. Like, he doesn't, I don't.
And I'm sure it's his Enneagram, because I'm 3-2, he's 2-3. That probably plays into this somewhat as well.
Yeah, I've never really heard him have to himself. I don't know. I guess we need to have a conversation together. I'm like, tell me your ways. I need to know your ways. How do you not do this? Because I will start to freak out with my have to list of have to do this, have to do this. And he's like, you're already making it so big and you're not even doing it yet.
But if you guys watching and listening, a real life example from Brittany. So that room she's in now is her little office. It used to be the guest bedroom in her house. And she had a big old bed in there a few weeks ago. So Brittany and I are talking on the phone, and she says, I have to move this big bed and da-da-da. I'm like, no, you don't have to do it. You can wait till Wildman comes home. He'll be happy to help you because he'll feel great that he gets to be a part of your journey of what you're doing now with podcasting and all the other things you're working on. And you're like, no. I have to do it now. I'm like, Brittany, let your man find value in getting to be a part of your life in that way. So what did you do? You bit your tongue. You were cursing my name under your breath all day long that day because you did not move your bed. And when Wildman got home that night, what happened? He got to be a part of your life in that way. And now you're sitting in a room that has no bed. Why? Not because Brittany had a have to moment, but because she recognized the get to-ism her husband needed to feel loved and close and valued in your life.
And that's another part of this. I mean, this is just going on and on. If we have to ourselves, but other people, and it takes that away with other people.
You rob them of the get to.
Yeah.
One of those people that if something's not done and I know I can do it, I am one that does do it. But when you have people in your life, and I have people in my business that I defer to them, I pay them money to do this. Why am I doing it? And so like, I don't feel like I have to. I get to if I want to, but then I abdicate it to them because that is what I pay them for, to do those things. And so I fight it all the time myself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that can go really deep with me and my husband. He's so much like me, but he's so opposite than me. And he's really a good person to have around because he reminds me a lot of Cammy why are you stressed? What's wrong? Why are you doing this? Like, okay, I just have to tell the story. So last night, I wanted to decorate my bathroom before tonight's party because I have to, because people are coming over and I want my guest bathroom decorated. Y'all do this so much. And I started freaking out, panicking because TJ Maxx closes at 9:30 and it was like 8:45 and it takes 15 minutes to get there. I'm freaking out and panicking. He's like, oh, it's fine. Come on, let's go. And I was like, no, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to. He's like, let's just go. What's the deal? Why is there so much? What's with the panic? It's so funny to listen to both of us because I will make the situation this much bigger because I have to make things explode and make them bigger than they actually are.
Yeah.
Just like dishes, I will like play this thing. I have to. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I go do it. And it takes me like 7 minutes. And I'm like, I was all freaking out. What was I doing?
And remember that the next time you have to.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Oh, Brittany, what a great episode this was. You got
Absolutely.
onestepdeeperpodcast.com is the website. Go check us out. One Step Deeper Podcast over on Instagram, One Step Deeper Podcast Community Facebook page over on Facebook, and wherever you listen to podcasts, primarily Apple Podcast and Spotify is where you find it right now. And of course at onestepdeeperpodcast.com, we also have both the video and the audio located there. But Brittany, I never know when we come on here just how deep we're going to go. This one went hella deep.
Yeah. And all over the place. Yes, really deep. But that's the show.
I love the all over the place because there's all over the place that needs to happen with some of these topics. And this literally infiltrates every aspect of our life. So I was really glad we were able to not only inspire you in your personal life and then have you write a post about it and inspire people. Now it inspired this podcast. Now this podcast is going to go inspire people even. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you again next week.
All righty.